You ever have one of those moments where you just feel like you're a character in a movie and somebody else is writing the script? Yeah, I think we all get that feeling. And it taps into this huge question we're going to explore today. How much of our lives are actually our own, and how much is, well, already decided for us? So, what is it? Are we just following some kind of cosmic script where every line, every action is already mapped out? Or are we the ones holding the pen, making choices that genuinely shape our stories as we go? And look, this is way more than just some late-night philosophical question. This gets right to the heart of what gives our lives meaning and purpose.
Now, what's so fascinating is that this exact tension was captured almost 400 years ago in a document called the Westminster Confession of Faith, and it makes this really bold claim. God has a complete plan for everything, and it's absolutely going to happen. But, and this is the really important part, it also says this doesn't get rid of our freedom. So how can both of those things be true at the same time? It's a puzzle, for sure.
To really get what the confession is saying, you got to look at the debate it was a part of. See, some people believed in what's called synergism. Think synergy, like teamwork. The idea that salvation is a joint effort. God does his part, and we have to do our part. But the writers of the confession, they were like, nope, not a chance. They were arguing for monergism. Mono, as in one. It's God's work, and God's work alone. They wanted to be crystal clear about who was ultimately in charge of the whole story.
But here's the problem. When you lean that hard into the idea of God's total control, it can start to sound an awful lot like simple determinism or fatalism. You know, the idea that life is just one giant machine and we're all just little cogs turning. And if that's true, then what's the point? Our choices feel like an illusion, and life can start to feel pretty meaningless, right?
So this leaves us with a huge challenge. How in the world do we hold these two ideas together? On one hand, you have a God whose plan is absolutely unbreakable, and on the other, you have us, human beings, whose choices feel real and have real consequences. It really seems like a total paradox, a contradiction. And that's exactly the problem we're here to unpack.
Luckily for us, we are not the first people to wrestle with this. Theologians have been thinking about this for centuries, and they came up with a concept to try and solve it: compatibilism. It sounds like a big, fancy word, but it's for a simple yet pretty profound idea, that these two things that seem like opposites, God's total control and our real freedom, are actually, well, compatible. They can exist at the same time. But how? Let's get into it. So the first big solution offered is basically a call to change our whole perspective. A lot of theologians said, hey, the problem starts when we think of God like some Greek philosopher, this distant cosmic force that just set things in motion. They said, let's stop doing that and let's go back to how the Bible actually talks about God, as a character in the story who is relational, loving, and deeply, deeply involved. And this quote right here from theologians Baswell and Mike Liori just nails this new perspective. They say God's ultimate power isn't about pulling strings and controlling every little event like a puppet master. No, it's about the transformative power of love, the kind of power that can bring hope out of total despair and life out of death. It doesn't force things. It invites and it changes people from the inside out.
Now, to help us kind of wrap our heads around this relational view, here's a pretty useful acronym: HDMI. The H is for high, meaning God's ultimate purpose is supreme. It's going to happen. The D is for definition. His will isn't random, it's defined by his character of love. M is for multimedia. He's always reaching out in countless ways, inviting us to respond. And the I is for interface. He interacts with us right here, right now, in the present. This is not some distant clockmaker God. This is a God who is active and in relationship with us.
Okay, so the Bible gives us this picture of a relational God. But for those of us who want to know how this could logically work, theologians have come up with a few models to help us make sense of it. Think of them like different tools in a toolkit we can use to look at this same fascinating problem.
All right, the first model tackles the whole problem of God and time. The philosopher William Lane Craig suggests that when God created everything, he chose to enter into time with us. So imagine a play director who knows exactly how the play is going to end. But what if he's also an actor in the play? And it's an improv show. He knows the final scene he's shooting for, but he has to react and respond and interact with the other actors on stage in real time. It's this incredible dance between a known destination and total freedom.
The second model gets into God's foreknowledge. I mean, how can he know the future if we're all just improvising down here? Well, a theologian named Terence Thiessen proposed this idea of middle knowledge. The idea is that God doesn't just know what will happen, he knows what could and would happen in every single possible scenario. The best analogy for this is a GPS. You plug in your destination, now you can take a wrong turn, you can miss an exit, but what does the GPS do? It instantly recalculates, always finding a new path to get you to that same endpoint. It's actually a really reassuring thought, isn't it?
And you see this GPS idea play out perfectly in the story of Esther from the Bible. Her uncle tells her, look, if you stay silent, help will come from somewhere else. The destination, saving the people, is a sure thing. That's God's plan. But then he asks her, who knows if you were put in this royal position for this very moment? See, her choice is real. It matters. It has huge consequences. She's not a puppet. She is an invited partner. It's just a powerful reminder that even when the destination is set, our choices along the way still matter immensely.
So how does God actually interact with our choices moment by moment? Well, the third model is called double agency. And the key idea here is that it's not like 50% God, 50% us. It's 100% God and 100% us, working together. The analogy is a Tai Chi master. A master doesn't meet your force with more force. Instead, they skillfully use your own energy, your own momentum to guide the outcome. In the same way, God works with and through our real choices, even our mistakes, to bring about His good purpose.
Okay, I know. This has been a pretty deep dive into some heavy theology. But this isn't just some abstract puzzle for philosophers. These ideas have huge implications for how we actually live our lives, how we deal with the messiness, the struggles, and all of our questions. So let's bring this all back to you.
So let's make this really, really practical. The next time you feel lost, like you've taken a major wrong turn and just completely messed up, remember that GPS. God's plan isn't broken. He's just recalculating the route. When you feel totally unseen or insignificant, remember that director who isn't just watching from the wings, but is right there on stage acting with you in this very moment. And when you feel powerless, remember the Tai Chi master who can take even your smallest, weakest action and weave it into his powerful, loving plan.
And really, that brings us to the heart of it all. All these models suggest that God's good purpose is a done deal. He can work through you if you cooperate, like Esther. He can work around you if you decide to sit on the sidelines. He can even work against your resistance. So your choice doesn't determine the end of the story, but it does determine something just as important: what kind of character you're going to be in that story. So which part do you choose to play?